John, maybe let's start with what Operation Save the Brave is all about.
Well, Mike, it's to help our veterans. What we've discovered over the years as we've evolved is that we get our veterans all housed and everything, and they're doing really well, but then they can't afford their food program. They can't eat. After they've paid the rent, as we all know, OW pays $400, and that doesn't get you an apartment in the London area. So what we've discovered is that we have to subsidize or help them with a food program.
And are we talking about veterans who have just returned from service? Are we talking about veterans who may have returned from service many years ago?
All veterans. What we're finding is we have the young ones, we have females, we have males, and we have some older ones.
There's some research that was done that found that for some veterans, it takes up to 9 years before that food insecurity and sometimes even the homelessness actually shows up. Veterans Affairs Canada has a lot of really great programs to help veterans transition, but not everybody is successful. About 25% of them don't manage that transition well. And they have all this great support at the beginning. They know who the contacts are. But as the years pass, they start to lose touch with those support networks. So we have the folks who are freshly released from the military. But then we have the folks who've been out for a while who have now hit that wall.
And would some of those people have been out of sight and not letting people know that this was an issue in their lives? And all of a sudden, John, that's discovered?
Yes. What we find is some, because of their disability and their stress injury, they will just close the door and you won't see them. They won't even leave their rooms or their apartment. So there's an issue there. So
how do you deal with that issue?
Well, first off, we try to reconnect them with Veterans Affairs. And secondly, we try to start getting them out and socializing them a bit. And once we can get them talking and just relaxing and coming out, then we can deal with the issues.
Now, homelessness becomes one of those issues. We're all looking for ways to deal with a housing crisis that has so many different outlets, so many different layers to it. How do you deal with that?
We're in the process of having a building built. We've down on Trafalgar and Clark and in that area, and we're going to have 10 units in there. That will come online in 2020. But we're also involved in trying to get funding organizations to dedicate X number of units to low income.
We're talking right now with John Sluggett, Legion Service Officer for the London region, and Wendy Moore, Vice President of Our Clinic. And we're talking about Operation Save the Brave. Now, it's got to be something that, Wendy, is so difficult to transition from where some of these veterans were to where they need to be. How do you identify what needs to be done for each individual? Because everybody's got to be different.
That's one of the things we run into all the time is that folks require that individual conversation. So having the right conversation with people makes all the difference. And a lot of veterans aren't crazy about talking to civilians. When you look on Facebook, some of the Facebook pages that veterans are on, they're constantly posting memes about how this is their face after 15 minutes of talking to civilians. So having folks like John and the Legion is absolutely key because so many of them have served and they know the right questions. If you know the acronyms, if you know the lingo and those kinds of things. We've had a couple of patients at the clinic who have been in a really difficult way financially. And because I have some history with the military, I can go and sit down with them and have conversations that they're comfortable sharing with me. Because an awful lot of them have a pride that is extraordinary. So admitting that they're in difficulty, admitting that they don't know how to cook, that they are terrified of going to the grocery store, getting them to actually let that out of their system and have a conversation about it, it can be a long haul.
And John, when you look at those two items right there, not feeling you know how to cook, not feeling you know how to shop at the grocery store, or, hey, let's face it, the bigger the grocery stores get, the more daunting they get as well. How do you assist in that?
Well, our approach is going to be three-pronged. If the veteran can get out and handle it and do everything, we will give him a grocery card. If the veteran can't get to the grocery store or can't even go in the grocery store, we will go with a grocery list and get him his groceries and deliver them home. If the veteran can't cook, then the plan is to deliver him a home-cooked meal.
Where did this begin? Where did you say, okay, this is something that is certainly needed, but here's how we address this?
Well, I guess it's a learning process for everybody. When we got in, I found as the service officer and interviewing veterans, a lot of them were not even homeless. They were what we call at risk. And that's a veteran that if we don't intervene, he's going to be homeless. And we found we always had grocery cards for them. That was something that has been going on with the Legion for probably the last 10 years. And we were using them a lot. So then when we got together with Wendy, the idea, and it was mainly her idea about fundraising and getting things going. We also have a veteran that has volunteered to cook. So that's going to be training for him. He suffers from, and he needs to get socialized and everything. So he's volunteered to actually cook the meals and whatnot for the other veterans.
If someone might have a family member or a friend that they know of and they think, you know what, this is something that would benefit them, how do they even get involved?
They can certainly call the Legion. They can call me. My number's are available at any time through the Legion, and it's on 24/7. They can call, and if I don't have the answer or can't get it, we can certainly find it and help them out.
We're talking about Operation Save the Brave, and we're joined by John Sluggett, Legion Service Officer for the London region, and also with us is Wendy Moore, Vice President of our clinic. When veterans hear about this, because now they have started to hear about this, what do you hear back from them, John?
Some are still struggling with the idea of asking for help, but the biggest thing we have found is that they're starting to get healthy meals and groceries in their fridge. So it's in the early stages, but all results look positive.
But you think about how simple that sounds, still, that's not simple. Not simple to get healthy items, get them into the fridge.
No. That's why we have partnered with our clinic, which gives us access to nutritional services and other services that the veterans may need.
We just received an email from Sherry, and Sherry says, if somebody wanted to help out, do you accept donations?
Absolutely. That's one of the big purposes behind giving it a name, Operation Save the Brave, is to do fundraising so that we can get those grocery cards, so that we can fill the pantry, basically, so that the cook can put meals together that can be delivered. And if people want to donate, they can go to ourclinic.life/SaveTheBrave. And it's all one word, Save the Brave.
It is an amazing initiative. It is helping out in so many ways. You look back at last week, we get a lot of attention about the anniversary of D-Day, and then all of a sudden we're not talking about our veterans anymore. So thanks for keeping the conversation going.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.